Hello and welcome back to Making It Podcast for episode 10. We're 10 episodes in.
10
weeks
episodes,
in.
big.
I can't believe it. It's been 2.5 months since we first started the podcast. Now, I've just come off a really long shift. The time of recording is 5 to 12. So longest shift of my life. But it just brings me a big smile to see Dan here. So, Dan, how's it going, bro?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's this is the latest we've ever filmed the podcast. It's it's 5 to 12 on a Saturday night.
Yeah,
but this is a sacrifice to get it out for you listeners. I'm feeling good. I've had a nice chill day, and it kind of reflecting from you in a bit of a different way. I've had quite a chill Saturday. I've had a nice bath. I've been watching the Big Les show.
Great, that's amazing.
And I've had sausages, bangers, both the same thing. Bangers, mash, and veg for my dinner with Fiki and Matt, my housemates. So I've had a pretty chill Saturday as far as things go. But how's your day been? Was it a wine do at the pub?
So we had a wine do. So it's like where they try. I didn't realise how much wine they try. I did sample some, so I can tell you that I didn't sample enough for me to not do this. But they basically try different wines. They have different courses with that. So there's 5 courses and there's like 7 different wines, I think. But yeah, I started earlier and I didn't realise how late we were going to finish. So shout out to Jim because he's the one that stayed a little bit later as well. He's the man that made it happen. So. But yeah, overall, pretty good day. What did I get done this morning? Got up. It's completely surpassed me. What have you been doing?
No, I know more than you, mate. You went for a coffee with Jacob, our friend.
God, yeah.
You went with Deck. You did your football first session of the introduction. I know more than you, mate.
So I went for coffee with my mate Jacob, who we spoke about, who's doing the marathon. So keep running that up and donating if you can. Went to see my mate Declan and played a bit of pool. Nice, just a bit of time with him, to be honest. And then before all of this, I actually did my first session for my FA level 1 in coaching, which was really insightful, really fun. 4 great coaches and personalities at the FA talking. So. Actually, as Dan reminded me, it's been a pretty good day. It's just I forgot the first half of it because I've just been clouded. So, but Dan, what's the sort of what are you thinking about this week?
This week, so I've been thinking about a few things this week. I think the main thing from this week, which has kind of happened in my life, was I took my first session by myself on Tuesday night, coaching the Sixers at Northumbria. Stephen wasn't there, my mentor, who normally is there. He's doing his UEFA B. And you know what? We spoke about it on a recent podcast, just about jumping in. And I just went for it. I just had my aim for the session and I just ran with it. And luckily I had Derek around, and Derek is just an absolute insane, knowledgeable coach. Like, I can't put it into words just how much he knows. Like, the layers and layers of knowledge he has about coaching is just unfathomable. And I just try and be a sponge to him. And he was floating around, so he was helping me out. But I just feel really good about coaching right now. I feel confident. I feel like I'm taking it in the right directions. And direction is an interesting word because that's what I've been thinking about a lot today and this week. And I think a lot of what we do and a lot of our messages, our values, our actions, everything are taking us in a direction. No matter what you do, it's going in a certain direction. That could be going in a direction you don't want it to go. It could be in the direction you want it to go. And I think a really big thing is, how do you take control of that direction? Me and you, we both know we see friends around us, and even ourselves, we make silly decisions at times, which steers us off that direction. But I think it's about choosing what that direction is. So I know right now in my life, in this present moment, my direction feels like I want to go for my sports psychology. I want to keep loving the people around me. I want to keep loving myself, and I want to keep being authentic. In your life right now, brother, what direction are you taking it? What control are you taking in your life right now?
I mean, I think this week as you'll see, by the way, on a vlog coming out on Sunday. So keep an eye on our YouTube. I think that actually, as my direction, as this week has shown, is that I kind of want to go into the sports broadcasting sort of area. And obviously I think the coaching and the scouting thing is really good because they are other potential things that I'm exploring. But either way, even if I don't do them as a career, they have already enhanced my knowledge for broadcasting. But yeah, I'm very similar to you in the fact that I kind of know my career direction that I'd like to go in, and in terms of my personal direction, loving my family, loving my support system, and acknowledging the things that I'm grateful for. That's the sort of direction I'd like to head in, and I think I am heading in. And I think it's going to be tough, to kind of achieve 100% of what I want, because heading in the direction that I'm heading is going to be really difficult, and it's like sailing through a really, really rough storm. Do you know what I mean? It's like swimming with jeans on. It's like sailing through a really, really harsh storm, and but again, it's about how you build that boat, that's going to take you through that storm and it's going to get you to the other side. So spend some time at the fucking at the dry dock. Pardon me, sorry. Spend some time at the dry dock.
But why has it, you bush?
No, it hasn't. Spend some time at the dry dock. Build that boat.
The what? The what? The dry dock?
What's your boat up? A dry dock.
What do you mean you're at a dry dock?
But where you do your boat up? The dry dock, the dockyard.
The harbour.
Spend some time there. That's your support system. Build that boat as strong as you can. Make it as durable as possible, and make it resistant to any sort of force that comes its way, and sail across that ocean, and you'll be absolutely fine. So I would almost describe what we're doing now in terms of building our support system and our network as a boat. That's how I describe that.
Yeah, it's an interesting way of putting it. And in terms of boats, sometimes you can anchor that boat and you can sit still with that boat. And like we spoke before about sitting still with your thoughts, with the boat comes so much more meaning. Why don't we call this podcast The Boat?
I'm down for that. We've had
the onion, now we've got the boat. But sometimes, your boat's going through that tough storm and it's riding those waves. But sometimes that boat does need to drop its anchor, and you need to sit still with things that are going on and reflect. And it's interesting when it comes to our emotions and sitting still with our emotions. And I think there is definitely, I know at times when it comes to my emotions, we all have our low points, right?
Mm.
And when I find I get into low sort of emotions and feelings, or a low zone, I feel like there's definitely certain effects that it can have. And I think it can rub off on people around you. It can rub off on your next steps. It can rub off on your day as a whole. How do you think, maybe you had a low moment on your shift today, how do you deal with low moments? Because we speak about head losses and we speak about, worrying about letting our sort of feelings go onto someone else when we're feeling low or angry. How do you deal with that by not trying to let it affect other people?
Well, I mean, it's happened a few times recently. So I would say for a part of it is just sort of letting the storm pass a little bit. Like a big part of you being in a bad mood or feeling in a low sort of way, you have got to let that sort of time pass, and let it run its course, let it have a bit of an effect on you in terms of, let it make you feel a certain way. And there's ways of dealing with stuff. Obviously, it's about how you react, as we're talking about now. But like if I am feeling a bit grumpy at work, I will just say to someone, look, I'm feeling a little bit grumpy right now, so I'm probably not going to talk as much, or if I do talk, it'll just be somewhat negative, so just ignore me. Or sometimes I'll just sit in my room and put some music on. I think that's just as basic as it gets. Just shut my door, put some music on, maybe sit with the dog for a little bit. I'm a pretty simple person in that respect. I just think that I just kind of ride it out, put a bit of music on. I might give someone a call, might give you a call. There was obviously, last week when I was feeling really bad on the Thursday, That was the worst I've felt in a long time. A mixture of tiredness and a bit of just general sort of anxiety and stuff like that. And I just rang you, didn't I? And I just didn't feel good at all. But I wrote it out, put some music on, and before I knew it, I was up in Newcastle recording episode 9. So like all my problems went away. But yeah, keeping yourself busy as well. Yeah, that's another thing. So, what about you? What are the sort of, because I know that you're a talker as well. So if you are
Yeah.
feeling a certain way, getting it out verbally is a big way for you.
Yeah, 100%. And I really like what you said about letting the storm pass. It's bringing back to that boat. Honestly, mate, it's the boat today.
That's what we're calling it.
But I find that a lot. Like when I'm feeling certain ways, we talk about making it on a journey, or we're talking about direction of where we want to take our life. I think you're going to get doubts. You're going to get feelings of low moments. You're going to get times where you're struggling and you're not really feeling like you're making it, and you're not feeling like you're taking your life in the direction you want it to go in. And I think it's in those moments, it's letting that storm pass. I really like that you said that, because there's been so many times where I've been in a certain environment or been in a certain state where I just feel low and I just want to act out on it. And, I've always found when I have acted on things in that moment, I always regret it. And I always look back in hindsight and think I should have done that differently. And I think sometimes it is just letting the storm pass. In terms of taking things in the right direction, I really wanted to say something today. And I think sometimes I notice around me, I notice close friends to me who are also close friends to other people I'm close friends with, people within your circle. I think sometimes we see our friends doing things that we may not particularly agree with, or our friends disappoint us, or our friends do things we don't particularly feel is right or is right for them. And I think sometimes it's very easy to notice, if I notice you were doing something which didn't align with your making it journey, I feel like as a good friend, I would let you know. I'd like just at least make you aware of it. And I think if you see a friend and you think they're going down into a place where they're taking their direction away from themselves and they're not being themselves, we all see our friends not become themselves anymore. Let them know while you have the chance, not when you have the chance. Because sometimes I find myself, I may see friends at different universities or friends that are still back at home. And I think, oh, I'll let them know what I think about that when I next see them. But I may not next see them for 2 months. A lot can happen in 2 months. And, sometimes I just think I see some people, some of my friends or some people, and they say certain things. Oh yeah, like he's doing that. And, I don't particularly agree with that. But as a friend, why not tell him? If you didn't agree with something I was doing, brother, like it wouldn't unsettle me that you told me your opinion. It would make me feel good that you've been honest with me. Be open and honest with your friends and push them in the right direction as well as yourself. I think it's just a tough thing to do, especially when you feel like you don't want to all of a sudden steer their life in your own direction, which isn't actually theirs. It's a tough boundary. But I just thought of that today. I think if you think something about your mate, or if your mate's doing something you don't agree with, or it doesn't align with their making it journey, let them know. But in terms of your journey this week, Jamie,
Yeah.
tell the listeners about your second professional gig as a commentator. That's big for you, man. I'm proud of you.
Thank you, mate. Well, first of all, I should open up on the fact that I probably didn't judge my situation the night before as well as I should have. We had a staff party, and I said to Dan,
Justin Timberlake.
I promise. I was dressed as Justin Timberlake. I won't get drunk. I promise. Now, obviously, we had a couple of nights out in Newcastle. I was quite tired. And unfortunately, it didn't take me many drinks to feel quite drunk. So I woke up on my friend's sofa. And luckily, I was fine by about lunchtime. And my notes were already done. As soon as I got the call on the Monday morning when I was coming home from seeing you, Dan, I must have been literally on the bus an hour. And then the next 3 hours I was making notes. So made all my notes. I did all my stuff. I had it all ready for when I was going to go. So, even though I woke up a little bit later, I could still just jump in and go. But I made myself some breakfast, kind of felt a lot better after that. Headed up to Solihull, which was really, really nice. and got there. And the guy that runs it kind of spoke to me. He showed me where I'd be, told me the game that was on, which I already knew anyway, but he kind of ran me through it again and
What
got
game was
some
that
team
again?
sheets. It was Eastbourne Borough FC versus Maidstone. So it's National League South, which is not a league I've ever covered before. But I have a knowledge of some of the teams in there. Maidstone, one that most people know from their cup run last year. So it was a really nice experience and a really nice challenge, because that was a game that, while it is the sixth tier of football and the quality of it was quite poor, it was a challenge for me, because as a commentator, how do you make a poor game engaging for people to listen
Yeah,
to?
big time.
And don't get me wrong, not every single moment is going to be engaging in a football commentary. I think that's what you have to remember. There's an intensity in your voice, there's a speed to your voice, and there's a tone to your voice, and making sure that those three things are right for the moment you're in is in fact, that is your job. That is what makes you good or not so good in people's eyes. Again, it's subjective, but so yeah, I thought in terms of match quality, it wasn't great, but we got 2 red cards in the second half and a goal. So I would say that we got enough action in the second half to keep me happy. And again, it's getting myself on the TV. I did it for DAZN, so that was a really
That's really cool, man.
that's quite cool. Yeah, all the guys there are great. The director, shout out to JJ, he's really cool. He just does everything. He manages many different games at once and makes sure everyone's okay. And he did a great job with me. Always makes me feel really comfortable. But yesterday, I felt like the imposter syndrome part of it vanished. Sorry, on Tuesday, I felt it vanished. And then I had a commentary on Wednesday night. I was actually co-commentating because I'm helping the person who's going to replace me at NHR, which is my voluntary position. And I felt no pressure. I felt I know exactly what to do. I'm fully prepared. If there's any issues, I know exactly what to go with. And I think for the first time properly since I started doing it, you can just throw a gig like that at me and I'll just do it now.
Is there any reason for that at all?
Well, I think more just because I believe in myself now. So I feel like I've done enough to believe in myself. I think that I'm feeling more confident, this week. I don't know what's kind of done that. Maybe it is this that's done it, getting that text of someone, because when someone asks me to do something for their company, I know they're trusting me. So that could be something as basic as me pot washing for the pub, or it could be me gardening for, Landmark, or it could be me, doing whatever. When someone asks me to become employed by their company or to volunteer with their charity, you're putting trust in me, and that trust means a lot to me. So that's why I'll give you loyalty. I'll give you everything I've got, and I'll throw all my hours at you because you've given me your trust. So, and it works the same for people. So that was the thing that for me this week was pretty big. How about you? I'm guessing that it is the coaching thing with you.
Yeah, it's interesting because obviously both of us have clearly spoken about there with my coaching, with your commentary. We've been feeling imposter syndrome less and less as time goes on. And I think sometimes time is the healer with those sort of things. It's just having that awareness maybe when you're starting up. It's like if I were to go back to being a beginner now, and when I was maybe getting a bit stressed about not knowing what to do or when to do things and this, what, and that, I think it's more, okay, I'm not going to know them tomorrow, but it's having that awareness that it will take time. And I think if you are a beginner in something, or you're starting something and you're taking your journey in a certain direction at that beginning stage, it's be aware you have time. Time is on your side. And I know we talk about life being short, and this is up for debate. And I'll ask you a question now.
Go for it.
When it comes to time in life, do we have a short life or do we have time on our hands? Because from my perspective, I think it's a bit of a balance of both. I think we do live a short life. In the span of our whole universe, if we live up to 100 years individually, that's a very small amount of fraction of time amongst the whole space galaxy, the bigger, everything. You know, we're such a small piece of that. So in that sense, we do have such a short period of time, so make the most of it. However, we do have time on our side, like especially when it comes to coaching or commentary or, you know, becoming a gardener or becoming a teacher. And we've got years on our time. I think maybe when it comes to life being short and making the most of it, I think like we talk about direction, it's making sure, okay, if life is short, take it in the direction you want to take it in and make as much of it fulfilling as possible. However, you do have time to let that thing grow. You know,
Yeah.
what do you think? Is life short or do we have time?
Well, I suppose in like a biological sense, human beings live a fairly long time. Like in terms of like mosquitoes live a few days. Like, you know, flies live a few days.
Bless them, man.
But to them, bless them, Sodom, they bite me all the time. I don't care, mate. But you know, to them, time will feel a bit slower. But I mean, I don't know. I'm not a mosquito.
That's one next time, eh?
Yeah, I know. That's one for Eric Cantona. He's probably got something to say about that. But the whole thing about life being short is that I actually don't think people are saying that life is short as a whole. I think they're saying that their prime is short, because I think that people live life in their prime and then they think after that, that's it. So they think that from the ages of 18 to 30, that's your prime. So when older people say to you life's short, well, they've not lived their whole life. They've not lived their entire life. They might have another 20 years. But they're saying to you that life is short. So what I'm thinking is, but you still got time to go. So like you haven't got to worry yet. They're saying life's short because that Liverpool part has passed them.
Sorry,
That
Liverpool part.
Liverpool.
I thought you said Liverpool.
Not Liverpool. No.
I was gonna say you're saying Liverpool as in like because Liverpool are in their almost prime right now.
I bet Kev was getting excited then. Oh yeah. You won't see me praising them, Kev. I tell you that. No, I will not be praising your lot. But what I'm saying is that when people say life is short, I think what they're really referring to is the peak of your life. The peak of your life where it is the best, where you get the most out of experiences, the most enriched experiences, you know, the most, you know, the actual experiences that make life worth living are in that short period of time. And then perhaps, you know, life can be short in terms of a general sense for some people. You know, obviously there's been people close to us that we have lost at, you know, at a young age, and God bless them. And you know, in the sense of that is what life is short can also mean, you know. So yeah, I think that life in terms of as a whole thing can be short. Your prime in theory is short, but again, I suppose it's how you view each day. You know, some people take every day as it comes and they enjoy it and they make the most of it. So maybe life doesn't feel as short. But for people that have wasted it worrying about people, worrying about money, worrying about XYZ person that doesn't matter in their life, and investing in people that don't care about them, life might be short.
Yeah, I think yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there. It's maybe not the time of life, it's what you do in that life. And I think in terms of direction, that is exactly it. You know, direct your life where you want it to go. And, you know, in terms of priorities, you know, our question of the week was, what are you prioritizing this week? You know, I think priorities are such a big thing because do we prioritize the right things? I know you and me, we get quite busy. We kind of get a lot on our to-do list because we like to say yes to things. We like to take opportunities, but sometimes that can be not to our benefit because we took too much on and we're not prioritizing the right things. And I've spoken about before about being in a good place, but maybe not your place. You know, you may be doing something good, but should it be a priority? You know, I could go and do a bit of gardening, make a bit of money. That's good because I made a bit of money. But is it aligning with what I want to do? And I spoke about at the beginning of the podcast about having a nice chill Saturday today. You know, I realized I've not had something like that for a while. And you know what? I understand it because I'm driven and I wanna go in the right places. and I don't want to spend time not doing that. But I've quite enjoyed having a couple of weekends off, especially our weekend last weekend, boss.
Oh yeah.
We'll get into that a little bit.
Oh yes.
But I think priorities are a really big thing, and I think it's understanding. Okay, you have a to-do list, but what's at the top of that to-do list? What are you doing first? Some things can just be parked aside for a bit. Even ideas. I heard something once. We get a lot of ideas, and especially if you're creative, it makes you just want to keep doing them. Even if you do drop something, like I dropped my part-time job, I just keep getting these temptations to fill up the space with something else because I just want to keep doing things and keep being creative. But it's almost like having a garden bed. Like you can plant some to a side and let them grow a little bit later on while you kind of treat certain flowers a bit more at this current moment. So in terms of me this week, before we get into our weekend last weekend, Jamie, in terms of my priorities this week, I've been trying to prioritize uni work a lot more. And that's something I'm trying to develop. I'm not the best at it right now because I love doing the podcast. I love doing coaching. I love socializing. I love being able to speak to people. And I love doing those things, and it takes me away from the uni work. But I'm trying to prioritize uni work. And I know right now you found yourself in a busy part of your life right now. Coming back from Aussie, you're getting thrown back in the deep end a little bit. You're working. We're filming this late because you worked a shift, and I know you're busy tomorrow, the day after. What are you trying to prioritize right now, brother?
I have to prioritize, first of all, re-establishing my savings, for Australia. So this week is going to be pretty relentless.
Is that that's almost in this current moment though, isn't it? Like that wouldn't be as a whole. That's just right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Right now.
Yeah.
That's why I'm prioritizing in the short term, because again I have to save another 2,000 ish to when I go back. But in terms of what I'm prioritizing in the long run, it's the football, the coaching, the analysis, the scouting, the passion, the social media, the passion that I've got, and and hearing other people being passionate about something makes me more passionate, because I'm like, oh yeah,
gives you that buzz, doesn't it?
And when they're sharing ideas with me and they're like, oh yeah, that's what I want to talk about. And the one issue with my team at the moment is, and this is nothing new, so the person who I coach with, Ryan, bless him, who puts in all the effort, and is great, he knows this. The people don't engage as much, and we as coaches can only do so much because that we have limited numbers. And this is one thing about grassroots, is that you are not going to have ideals. So you have to be a better coach to see out those issues. So me, Ryan, Sarah, we're going to have to come up with something to get these kids wanting to play, getting them to come to training, and getting them to come to matches. And I've got only a few months to do that. Ryan and Sarah have only got a few months to do that. We're all in the same boat with this.
The boat.
The boat. Well, we're all in the same storm, but we're all in different boats. That's how I'd say it. But yeah, priorities, football long term, and in the short term, like next week, I've got to work morning and night. I'm working 2 jobs. And then the third if you include football. So yeah.
Let's speak a little bit about last weekend, bro. So I'll start with the Friday. So Jamie came up to Newcastle last weekend, and it was a phenomenal weekend. I'm sure you agree.
Oh yeah.
And on the Friday he came and we had a coffee, and if you listen to the most recent episode, and you really have to, because it's our first face-to-face podcast. It's surreal, really. I didn't get him a decaf coffee, but we had a coffee, and then we filmed the first face-to-face episode of the Making It podcast. And then we went to watch an England under-20s game at Kingston Park in Newcastle Rugby. And then after that, we went to a rave. So it was quite some Friday. You want to introduce the Saturday? The Saturday was a good day as well. That was really nice, I thought, really peaceful.
Yeah, so Saturday was... Saturdays are always meant. It was my first Saturday up in Newcastle as well.
First weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and we went to Red House, obviously, which was just phenomenal, because it was great to see everyone, and a lot of those people everyone you introduced me to, pretty much, bar Harry and Aaron,
and Ollie
as well. Yeah, so shout out to all of them. and just it was amazing just to see everyone around one table. People that you kind of see on different parts of the night or whatever, and
Yeah, I
all
agree.
kind of,
It's nice to
what I
have
mean,
everyone
like.
around one table, all having a good bit of grub, good bit of
Yeah,
pies.
in fact, do
It's
you know what I
nice.
haven't spoke about though? Before all of this happened, I went out to go and get a toothbrush from. Oh no, what was I going to get? Was it toothpaste? I was getting something from the shop, and I came back with some milk in my hand, and I was freezing, and I rang up Dan. Now Dan didn't answer the phone for 10 minutes, so I
I'd
was
never.
knocking on the
It was.
door.
Was it? It wasn't 10
It was
minutes. It was a
10
few
bloody
minutes.
minutes.
It was like 2 minutes. Nella was
No,
in my room
no,
having
no,
a chat
no,
with
no,
me.
no. I'm not having it. 10 minutes I
It
was
was
out there.
2 minutes.
10 minutes, right? And I like this. Someone opens the door, and I'm like, oh, thank God, Dan. And it's this random girl, and I'm like, oh no, I've knocked on a house full of girls, and I've just woke one up. That is the worst thing you can do on a Saturday morning. And I was like, oh, I think I'm at the wrong house. I was here to see a guy called Dan, and she was like, oh, yeah, this is his house. And I'm like, who are you? So I'm Adam's girlfriend. I was like, oh,
Adam's my
okay.
housemate.
I was like, can I come in? And she's like, yeah, okay. I was like, right, okay. And then this was before Red House. And then we went to Red House.
Nella was dressed up as a Domino's delivery driver.
Yeah,
in his golf gear.
Yeah, legend. And then Red House. Then we went to Weatherspoons, obviously, because we're classy like that. And then we went to Dubliner.
Yeah.
And you know what? I don't really remember much of the getting
Lots
home
of Guinness for you, boss.
Yeah, I think there was just one point where I had like two in my hand, and I was like,
We come back to the house, and I'm chilling in the living room with a few of my mates. I'm thinking, where's Jamie? Why is he not chilling talking with us? I go up to the room he was staying in. I opened the door, and bless him, he was curdled up, just passed out, snoozing. I thought, you know what? I'm just going to leave him. And then we wake up, and it's Sunday. And Sunday was a football day, really, wasn't it?
Great day.
Unfortunately, we lost to Newcastle 4-3. Jamie, if we could only look back on when you celebrated the first Forest goal, Jamie got up and tried to dig it into the Newcastle fans around us quite loudly. Even though there wasn't many people in the pub, it's quite quiet. But yeah, we didn't quite get the result. And then I introduced Jamie to a place called the Hustler in Newcastle. And if you're ever in Newcastle and want to play a bit of pool, go to the Hustler. It's a cool little old school. We were playing Justin Timberlake off the jukebox. We were playing Sex Machine by James Brown. We were playing all loads of tunes, Biggie Smalls. You can get the Beatles on there, everything. It's proper good. And, Jamie got battered. Let's just not. We'll keep that in there.
Dodgy rules. Yeah, dodgy rules.
And then, the Monday we had a nice coffee, and I saw you off, man. But I've got to say, I was grateful for that weekend, brother. I really appreciate you coming, and I appreciate you coming up to Newcastle every time. And it was a special weekend, and we're gonna have a vlog about it on the YouTube, so you can find that. And we've also, like Jamie said, we're going to be introducing some vlogs, some weekly vlogs on the YouTube. So stay tuned for them and find them on our YouTube page.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that weekend was one of the heaviest weekends ever. Whether I could do that again for a while, I don't know. But in terms of like seeing you, mate, I could do that every weekend. I loved it. It was really special, and also just the podcast we did. I want to as well thank everyone for the feedback, positive, everything you've got. Answering the questions as well was the big one, and kind of getting involved. We love your engagement because
we love it.
Because it gets us, it gets us feeling good, because we talk as friends about these things, but we almost want it to be like, does this relate to you? Do you know what I mean? Can this relate to you in your own personal way? So when we hear that it does relate to you, even if it is different to what we're saying, we love that. So thank you for that. And also please do as well, go on our YouTube, which is making_it_pod. If you just search up our handle on YouTube, because we're going to do some vlogs there. Dan's already got a vlog up. It was really good. Watched it this morning. I am a bit biased, obviously, but I thought it was really good.
Just a little short one.
Yeah. The visuals were better than mine. Mine, I will warn you, is in portrait. So, yeah, whoever let this idiot do a vlog, I don't know, but I'll blame Dan.
Watch it, though, because I've watched it, and it's really nice to see Jamie doing his second professional gig as a commentator. Not a lot of people see the background of a commentator, so really give that a watch.
And with time as well, I will also do some at Forest, which would be nice. I've not done a vlog at Forest for a long time, years. So it'll definitely be nice to get back doing that. But that's all I've really got to say, to be honest. I mean, obviously, I am absolutely shattered, Dan, but this has woke me up a little bit, to be honest. 35 minutes. I'm feeling much better than I did when I started this podcast. We weren't even sure I was going to be able to do it tonight, but we got this done. So thank you, Dan, for pushing me to do this, because I don't regret it one bit.
No worries. I enjoy it every time, Jamie, and I think anything to take to the listeners from this episode is, what direction are you taking your boat? What direction is that boat going in? And if you ever want to drop that anchor and sit still and reflect on that, then do it. And you can get through that storm.
And are you building that boat properly? Or are you being too eager and trying to get out on the water too quick? Because believe me, you don't want to be out in the ocean in a canoe. You want to be out there in a ferry.
Build that boat's foundations.
That's what the episode's called. This was The Boat, episode 10. Thank you very much for listening. It's going to be a new thing every week, isn't it? Thank you so much for listening and watching, and we'll see you next Tuesday at 10 in the morning. See you soon.
Take care, guys. Bye. Have a good one.
Feel so right.